Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hometown Cable. My name is Bob Venn. Our program is called What's Going On Here? Calvin Castine has the camera, and we're on every Sunday on the program. And today we're sitting here on the couch with, I guess I would have to say, a legend as far as Champlain and Rouses Point is concerned. The Reverend Carlton Wu, the pastor and for 37 years at the Presbyterian Church in Champlain and Rouses Point. And he has found it in his heart to retire. We hear he's going to stay with us, but he's going to retire. Is that right, Reverend?
Yes.
You're going to retire. You came here when?
August 1st, 1958.
Where did you come from when you came here?
I came from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, after I finished my seminary at Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay. Well, maybe I better do one more thing. Better introduce this person on your right here. This is Sally Barnes Smith. Yes, we heard about her, and we were talking with the man from Peterbilt. She's the lady from Peterbilt who did that nice flower arrangement out front. Very nice, Sally. Very, very nice. And she's made arrangements for us to meet the Reverend here, and well, we know him from without having to meet him, but for you to meet him here on Hometown Cable. And we'll be talking with her from time to time. Are you on the board or something?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm one of the active elders right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us what you mean. The church is made up of elders?
We call session.
Okay.
Session consists of elders. They were elected by the congregation.
How many do you have?
We have 9 on the board. Yeah.
Okay. Do they tell you what to do, or do you take it as advice?
Now we work together as a team.
You work together,
Yeah,
all right.
yes,
So
yes.
when they have a meeting, you are there?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Without me, they not call it session. We
Okay,
have a minister and the elders together.
okay. Are there any other organizations in the Presbyterian Church?
Oh, we have Women's Association.
Okay, what's it called?
Women's
Oh,
Association.
it's called Women's Association,
Yes.
right?
In the past many years, we have a youth group. One time, we have a very active youth group. Yeah.
Presbyterian Church has always been very good with youth.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Thank you for your good comments.
Well, let me tell you about why I know that. When I was in the Navy, I lived on shore in a place called the Presbyterian Hospitality House,
Oh,
where the minister and his wife had a big house, and you could go there and spend overnight. You could have dinner, breakfast, and your bed for 50 cents a day. 50 cents. It was sponsored by the church, and they had youth programs at the church. I did not have to go. I was Catholic, but if I wanted to go, I could go to the youth groups.
good.
He never talked religion in the house, except we said before and after prayers, before the meal. But other than that, and I still correspond with that lady today since 1947.
Great.
We were out to see her. She lives in California. So I know you have a very active, in the church, if not here, you do have it.
Even in this area, we do have a Christian citizenship award for young people every year
Okay, well,
in high school. Yeah.
Great. Now, when you were in Pittsburgh, what were you doing in Pittsburgh?
I had a friend in Pittsburgh. He was my classmate, and he will be with me next Sunday. He will be the master of ceremony for my dinner, Thanksgiving dinner after the service.
Okay, that's here at Rouses Point.
Yes, yes.
What is this? Tell us a little about what's going to happen.
People, they were so good to me, my members and friends of the community. It's my idea that I want to invite them to have a Thanksgiving dinner. Thank God for giving me the 37 years in working in Champlain and Rouses Point Presbyterian churches.
You've had some very good dinners in the Presbyterian Church also in Rouses Point. I've been to a few of those. Very nice
You
dinners.
talk about the election.
Yes, election dinner. I guess
Yes.
that's what it is.
Yes.
I think of it more as the dinner than the election, really. But they do have a great one there.
Yes,
You do
yeah.
that. But that's put on by the church, the ladies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've had some good weddings there too, haven't you? You've had some pretty big weddings there. This lady's daughter and your own daughter.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Your daughter's name is Princia.
Yeah, Princia.
Was in the class with my daughter, Barbara. Reverend Wu said to me one time, he called me, and he said, Bob, is Barbara going to this certain party? I said, no. Then he said, Princia isn't going either. We were strict fathers, weren't we?
Yeah.
Where were you born, Reverend Wu?
Well, I was born in Henan, China.
You were born in China? Okay.
Yes.
Did you come to the United States with your parents or on your own?
No, I came to this country by myself through a scholarship from Boston University in Boston. Yeah.
What year was that?
In 1952.
Okay.
Huh.
You were just going to college in 52, or you went to college in
I finished
China?
my college in China. I went to Boston University for my divinity degree, school of divinity. Yeah.
So you knew when you were in China that you wanted to be a minister?
My father was a Lutheran evangelist. When I was 12 years old, I was very, very sick. The doctor told me I will die. My parents prepared the coffin for my death.
Oh.
My minister came and prayed for me. My father said, if God restore my strength, and he will offer me to work in church. Yes, it's always in my mind. Someday I will serve in church.
How would someone who was a Lutheran as he grew up become a Presbyterian?
In China, the Lutheran Church, they do not have college. The Presbyterian Church had a few colleges, Hangzhou Christian College. When I went to the Lutheran Seminary, I met a professor from the Presbyterian Church. He said, young people, you should go to college first, then you'll go to seminary. So he recommended me to go to Hangzhou Christian College. They offered me a scholarship for room and board. Room and tuition. I worked in a YMCA for my board. They pay me to pay the board. Yeah.
So maybe it was good that you were sick. If you hadn't been sick, you wouldn't have been a minister. Maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe not,
Yeah,
no?
yes. This is always in my mind. The funny thing, since I come here, when I graduated from seminary, I come from China, being Chinese, how can you find a church? And I come here, they accepted me. In the past 37 years, I never sick. I never miss any single Sunday because of sickness. That's why I have Thanksgiving dinner. And I thank God for giving me the good health. Yeah.
You've had some very good parishioners, too.
Of course, yeah. They are, they are very, very supportive, yeah.
We're going to take a short break and come back because I can recall back maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when you lost about 6 or 8 of your real good, high-paying,
yes,
and your church had problems.
Yeah,
at the time.
yes.
I remember that through people I knew.
Yes.
I'll be right back.
Yes.
We're back, and I was mentioning before, we haven't talked about it off camera, that there were several people that died in that one short period.
About 5 years ago. That's a difficult year for us. Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have, how big of a parish do you have? How many parishioners?
We have around 8 active members in our church.
How many?
80.
80.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, to people who are not in the Protestant churches, in the church like yourself, you belong to the church and you sign a card. Is that right? That you belong to that church, and when you move, you can still belong to that church or the new one, or is that just a Methodist?
Now, when you move away, you will transfer your membership.
Automatically?
Yeah. Now, we encourage members to transfer. If they want to keep their membership here, that'll be fine, but they have to support the church.
Yeah. You got to remember, with someone like the Catholic Church with 700 potential, a lot of suspects more than prospects in our church, sometimes they don't all attend. When you try to operate a church with 2 different locations with 80 members, it becomes very, very difficult. That's why they have their money raising and so on.
But I don't feel any difficulty in raising
You don't,
money.
huh?
Yeah, no. I just told my people last Sunday in 1958, when I come here, they report about 1,500, 1,500 around it. And last week report, we have 49 $2,500, all total assessment. This is not counting the women association. I remember women have some money too. So when they talk the financial problem,
Don't have
no,
any.
no. When I first came here, Sally's father something had to paint the church. We need a setting. Everyone said they need a setting, but they said they don't have the money. I just use my telephone, call my members. Before I finish my calling, I got enough money to put a setting up. We also have secondly we had the heating system. You remember, last point, the electric heating is cheaper. So from oil change electricity system, someone said we don't have money. Even my good friend in South Florida says, we're all retired people. We should not change. So I wrote a letter to the members. We got enough money to do that.
I remember one occasion when you wanted to attend a meeting, I think, for the church or somewhere in California.
Oh, yes.
And there was nobody available. Tell us the story. If you know what I'm talking about, Mrs. Catlin, remember Mrs. Catlin?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that story?
Oh, I have a good friend. Yeah, yes. I had the opportunity to go to California. I want to member call up and encourage him to go. I said, kind of expensive. And she privately provided the money for me to go.
Yeah, she did.
We have good people in my church.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew Lyle Catlin. He worked at Customs with me, and I remember the story of hearing how that she had done that.
Well, I have so many good friends. Oh, that's why they be my home. That's why after retirement, I want to stay here.
All right, you came here in 1958.
Yes.
Princeton must have been just about
maybe 2 years old. I can't.
Yeah, very, very young.
Yeah.
Because, all right, let me just take. I'm a half historian. A little story of basically how the Presbyterian Church got started in Champlain.
Good.
In 1802, Champlain wasn't too old at the time. Plenty More, very well known here in the area as being the first English settler, decided that they would start a church here in this community with a Presbyterian. And there were 10 people who met, men and women. And I had their name on a list and I did not bring it. So I will tell you that it was Plenty, I do have it, Plenty More, William Savage, his wife Martha, their son David, Ebenezer Dunning, Robert Martin, Sarah Hamilton, Jonathan Darrow, and Samuel Hicks started the church. In the beginning, there was a pastor by the name of Worcester or Woolsey that came here with them, and they used to have their services in the homes. They would move from home to home.
Yes.
And one of the homes they went to was the Plenty More home, which is the present Clark Funeral Home. About 1813, 14, 15, they decided that they should have a building. So they, in conjunction with the school district, built a building on the corner of Prospect Street and Elm Street, which is the home of Friend today, Carl Friend, which is right opposite the Savoy. And they operated together for numerous years. When they used it as a school, on a Sunday they used it as, which made a lot of sense in those times. And the congregation grew very quickly until about 1818 or so. They had about 70 members, nearly as many as you have today. And they decided it was time to build their own church. So they picked up a lot on the corner of Chestnut and Oak Street, which Oak Street at that time was known as Moore Street, later became Canada Street, and today is Oak Street. It's the location where Mrs. Kenneth Kaufman now lived, is where the church was built, right across the road from the stone church today. They built the church in 1829. They sold their interests in the old building, a frame building, to the school district. And the school district few years later, took that school down and built a stone and brick school, which was known as the Champlain Academy, until it burned in 1940. They got this new church they built here on the corner of Chestnut. It wasn't called Chestnut then, it was Matilda, who was a daughter of Plenty More. But the names in the village have changed a lot over the years. It was, there came a time in 1844, a man was arrested in Canada, in Montreal, for smuggling silk. And he was being held in prison, and he had a good friend in Champlain by the name of Charles LePage. And Charles LePage figured that if he could burn the courthouse in Montreal, it would burn all the evidence with the silk, and his friend would get out. But he didn't know how to burn a building, so he built what they called an infernal machine, and he decided to practice here in Champlain to see how it worked, and he burned the Presbyterian church on the corner of Oak and Chestnut Street here in June of 1844. Then he went to Montreal, he burned the courthouse, but it didn't all burn, and they didn't get all the silk released. So they came and got him under a release treaty between the two countries, and he served 15 or 20 years in prison. This left the Presbyterian church, your church, with no place to meet. So they decided they needed some place, and because they have what they call a session, they built the Session House in Champlain, which is presently the Knights of Columbus building. They built that building with money they raised, and they decided they needed something bigger. So, I beg your pardon, in 1830, they built the parsonage here. And the parsonage has a special name in the Presbyterians. It's called
The man.
a manse.
Manse, yeah.
And it's only in the Presbyterians it's called a manse. So this was built in 1830.
Yeah.
They decided they needed a bigger church, obviously. So they bought a lot downtown, right where the Champlain Hotel is, or was, on Main Street, right at the end of Elm Street. And they were going to build a hotel, and they were going to build a church. And the people decided it was too close to the hotel, so they bought another lot for $900 on the corner of Church Street and Main Street. And in January 1849, they built an $8,000 building. The bell cost $300, and they moved in. And a pipe organ was given by a man by the name of George Hoyle, Hoyle. And they continued there until December 4th, 1927, when it burned on the morning of that. And they did not know what to do, whether they were going to repair the building or whether they were going to build a new church. This picture of a fire in Champlain, in the middle, you can see what was the Presbyterian church, which was sold to the village and became the village hall. And I had never known it was a church until this is a picture that shows that. It also, by the way, same fire, no, beg your pardon, wrong fire. If you look at an old map of Champlain, it shows on the corner of Main Street and Oak Street, Church Street, the church that was there. It also shows Episcopalian Church on Oak Street. What happened was that when they decided to whether they were going to build or not build, a man by the name of Mr. Crook, who was located between Butternut and Prospect Street, gave land to the Episcopalians to build a church there, and they in turn sold their church to the Presbyterian, which is down the street.
Yeah.
The steeple they had at that church, you can see here, This is the picture of Church Street. And when you're looking at old pictures, things like this will tell you about, will date things. Because you knew that steeple, this picture had to be taken before 1827 because it wasn't there after 1827. Okay? While I'm at this here, these are two pictures of the church burning. This first one is from Main Street, showing on the morning of 1927. And this is from Church Street, showing the roof gone. That's where the industrial knitting is today, the old fire station. We'll show they haven't seen these pictures yet either. Right? Just one other thing here while I'm here. My wife's grandfather was Israel Manette. Israel Manette was given the job of rebuilding the church for a village hall, and this is the plan drawn by Hugh McClellan, who used to live in the Clark, and was a direct descendant of Plentymore. And this shows the old steeple, and then the revised steeple. And this shows how they were working on it. So this is a little bit of history I had, and if Calvin will look at this picture, this is a picture of the building after it was converted to the village hall. An old postcard. I have one more picture while I'm at it here to show you, if I can find this. And this may shine a little bit. This shows downtown Champlain with all the trees. And you can, on the building right there on the right is the old church. About 1907 or 8. We'll take a short break now. We'll be right back. Then I'll stop talking. There's one more thing I got to mention. Between the fires, after this first church burned, they needed a place to meet until the session house was built. So they asked if they could use the Champlain Academy, which is a building that they used to own with the school district, and they did, and it said that they passed a resolution that the Presbyterian and Congregational Church have leave to occupy the chapel in the academy for meetings on the Sabbath at $1 per Sabbath. So they cost them $1 every Sunday that they had their church. Okay.
Interesting.
Now, did you held services in this church in Champlain?
Not in the past 2 years. Past 3 years. No.
Last 3 years you have not?
No.
Now, how many people did you have when you were here, the last count?
No, we're a very small number. Total membership in Champlain only had 10 on the
10.
roll. Yeah. Very small group.
So now they meet in Rouses Point.
Just very few, maybe 2 or 3 or they go there, yeah.
And the church, Presbyterian Church, still owns that building?
Yes.
So do you have a separate elders for this church?
Yes, we do. But
even today too?
Yes, we are intending to maybe merge as one someday.
Well, if you have 9, everybody who is in your membership is an elder.
No, here only 3.
Okay.
We have rule number 2. You have 3 elders there.
3 elders.
Yes,
okay. Yeah. I would think that it's nearly time for you to sell the building, except it's a nice historical building.
Yeah, I think some think we should sell, some think we want to keep as historical place.
It's a beautiful historical building.
Yes. The first Clinton county judge, started the church.
Okay.
Panmore, you mentioned.
Right. When you came in 1958, who was the pastor before you?
I think Reverend Watson.
Reverend Watson was here for a lot of years,
16 years.
When
I first come here, I can't stay 16 years. I even said 37 years. I just a dream.
Yeah. Reverend William Watson, whom the building for the senior housing in Moores is named after. His widow, Mrs. Watson, lives upstairs in one of the apartments. And he was here for a large number of years. In this whole area, Rouses Point, Champlain, and Moores.
Moores, 3,
Moores, yes, he did all 3.
Yes.
Now, there's no Presbyterian church now in Moores.
No, I think.
Do they attend your?
No.
They don't?
No.
So it's just died off in Moores?
I don't know. Some of them keep their membership, maybe JC or Plattsburgh. I really don't know. We don't have anyone from there. after Jim Wilson, they moved to Rouse
Yes.
Point. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Sally, when do you remember being active in the church? At what age can you say? I'm not asking you now how many years ago, just but
Very
were
young.
you a churchgoer when you were young?
Very young.
Very
Yes.
young. You were, okay. And your dad was very active in the
Yeah,
church,
yes.
right? And your mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My mother had been
No,
with the
Mrs.
women's group,
Yeah.
with the first Mrs. Watson, and attended many functions. Worked very hard. My mother's family go way back in the church. My grandfather and grandmother Conkright,
Yeah, yes.
and I believe my grandfather's mother and dad worked very hard in our church. My mother always believed, even with us growing up, I have two sisters, that if you go out on Saturday night, no matter, you get up Sunday morning and attend church. And that was something that we always did,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we were taught to do this. And I've tried very hard. Carl and I have one daughter, and to this day, I hope we've made the impression that church is
Yes.
very important in a
Yes,
family. And I'm proud to say our daughter does the bulletin each and
Yes.
every Sunday. And for a young person today, that is a lot of dedication. Sometimes more than I feel that I
Yeah.
could handle.
Well, now, people won't remember probably when we talk to your husband about your daughter. Tell us your daughter's name and who she is now.
Well, our daughter is Kimberly Lynn LePan, married Reverend Wu married them just a little old for 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and she will be 30 very soon.
Oh, she's going to be
So-
glad you said that. Oh, she's going to be glad.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like only yesterday she was born, and I don't know where the years have gone, but I guess they've been very enjoyable. And I look back, my dad and mother gave many years for us to be very happy, and I enjoyed being involved in the youth group. It seems like only yesterday when I say this, because getting ready for Reverend Wu's party this coming Sunday, we're going to have a closing song. And Mrs. Ashline, Herta Ashline, asked me if I knew it. And I said, yes, very much, because my father would drive us and we would practice for many weeks at the air base for an ecumenical choir of no less than 150 people. And that would be performed at 6 o'clock a.m.
Wow.
on the old base chapel, and many times it was outdoors. And Marion Fee would direct us. And a choir with that magnitude is just something you just never forget to be a part
Oh,
of
I'm
it.
sure. I'm sure.
So I just feel that maybe I was kind of blessed in those years that my parents gave a lot of time and effort, and we had an active youth group, and it just seemed like it was all fun and not work in those days.
You know, when might have heard that Sally gets very nervous. Well, it just so happened that I worked with her daughter, Kim, lovely daughter, Kim. Just such a smile you can't believe. So maybe she won't stop smiling when she hears she's 30 coming up soon. And I did her wedding. And we were in a house, and it was very close. Our house is very large, but there were a lot of people and a lot of things. And in the hallway, Kim started off, and she shouldn't have, because I was standing on the edge of her dress. And we tore her dress, came apart right down here someplace. And the first thing she says was, "Don't tell my mother. She'll faint." So we went in the other room, and I didn't, but someone just kind of stitched it up a little bit. And I told Sally after the wedding, she said, "Oh my gosh." Well, nothing happened to it, but that was probably as many people as you ever seen in your church.
You are right. Yes.
That was one large
Yes,
wedding.
about 500 people there.
Yes,
It
the
was
reception
large.
and that,
Yeah.
It was
yes.
beautiful,
Yes,
beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your daughter was married in your church.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a very busy month. That was the week.
Same year?
Yes, same
Oh.
year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I forgot what the date of Princey's was. Kimberly's
Yeah.
was, and Charles was the 29th. I should say we have a lovely son-in-law.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
Yes.
mention that, but they've been married, and Chuck works for 3J Fuel, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful having them next door. And
But wait, Carl said he saw them more when they were 5 miles away than they are living next door.
Oh.
they kept a good eye, and Reverend Wood kept a good eye on them. They lived right next door
Yes.
here, and for 4 years.
For 4 years.
Yes.
We're just chatting, as you can see. We hope that you're still with us. We're going to be right back. Please stay with Hometown Cable. Hometown Cable's on every day at 12:30, 4:15, 8 p.m., midnight, 8 the following morning. 5 chances to see the same show. Every Sunday it's called What's Going On Here? What's going on is this man right here is retiring, but not leaving us. We were just talking about the Champlain Presbyterian Church, and Calvin was commenting that the last time he's been in is when you had ecumenical services.
Yes. Pray for unity.
Okay, and that night, Father Giroux was there.
No, couldn't go because he passed away the day before.
Oh, day before he passed
Yes,
away.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mentioned that I've only been in the church once, and that was when Mrs. Dresser had her funeral services. But I've been in the belfry several times because that used to be the favorite bell to ring on Halloween. And now I've gone to confession here, and I feel better now.
You know, I heard people ring the church bell. I don't know who did it. No, I find out you did it.
I was involved a couple times.
Yeah.
That's back in the 40s, though. That was
Yeah,
before
yeah.
your time. How did you get to Champlain? How did you hear about Champlain from Pittsburgh?
My professor at Princeton told me that there is a vacancy in Champlain Church, so they recommend me to apply.
Okay.
There, yeah.
Did he tell you they don't have vacancies very often here? Because
No, I don't know. That Charlie Wood was the probably chairman of the nominating committee. Just told me the other day. He said that he's not well. Otherwise, he will come up for my dinner. He said that he wrote so many letters to ask people to come. Seemed to me nobody responds, so I did. So he said, he was very happy I came out. Yeah.
now, this was your very first church.
Yes,
Your only church.
Only church, yes, first church. I was ordained there October 1st, 1958. That's why I have my dinner on my ordination anniversary day. This is October the 2nd, October the
Okay.
1st. Yeah, it's
And you've
coming
been in the same house for 37 years.
Yes, I like this place. The old house, what is that?
Now, I've been looking at your picture and your sign
Yeah.
for nearly an hour, and I still haven't been able to figure out what that says. Can you tell us what that says?
That's one of the Beatitudes in the Bible.
Okay.
Blessed are the poor in spirit. It's a changed character. Yeah.
All that
Yes.
for just blessed are the poor in spirit?
Yeah, the 4 words like character on the top.
Yes.
吃亏是福. That means blessed are the poor in spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought that from Shanghai. I plan to give a little gift to the Presbyterian of New York, October 10th. Also, I changed writings. In China, we emphasize the handwritings. Not like this kind of, but we give gifts like that.
Now, you've had a good life here in Champlain, haven't
Yes,
you? Huh?
yeah, yes. You never get sick all those years,
I don't think I've ever saw this man when he wasn't smiling. And I don't know. I said, he hasn't got that much to smile about sometimes, but you're always smiling.
I smile for so many things.
I know you do.
I have a small group that are very, very kind to me and they give me opportunity to serve. And
Right.
yeah.
Now, your wife, Mrs. Wu, was a teacher of music
Yes, she was
for years.
for years.
I saw her name in the paper the other day with that young Korean who was Kim. And he had a recital in New York City. And it mentioned one of his previous teachers, I think, was your wife.
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah.
I believe that she had at one time,
Yeah.
And your daughter, your family was grown up here?
Yes.
And you've been back to China four times?
4 times. I plan to go back to China next April after Easter.
Well, I
you
thought...
you want to go, let me know.
But listen, you know,
Yeah,
3 years ago,
Yeah.
Carol Castine was supposed to go with him,
Yeah.
and she wasn't feeling well, so he went to her house, and he said, Bob, come here. I live next door. So I went over, and I said, what did I do now? I just want to say hello. He said, would you like to go to China?
Yeah.
And I said, what did I do? You want to send me to China? He wants to bring me to China with him because he had no one to go with at the time, because Carol wasn't going to make it. But I already had tickets for California for that period of time, and Bill Slocum went with you, correct?
Yes, you can ask me this.
And I did.
He had a wonderful time.
I saw the pictures afterwards,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, while you were there last time, you did something or got something that you don't ever have to go back now. You found yourself a new wife, I heard.
The reason was, when I planned to go back to China, my friend asked me, how about Mrs. Wu? I told her it was Mrs. Wu passed away. But they said, possible recommend someone to me. So she recommended to me, and a person who come from the same province.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, marriages like that are arranged generally in China, or how? We know it's different. We're not going to go through all your culture, but your wife, you got married when? You were married?
You mean
here this time? Yes.
I think it's September the 11th.
Don't
last
forget,
year.
she's here. You better not
Last
forget.
year.
We're going to meet her in a moment here, right?
I don't know. I think.
Okay.
Maybe it's, I think September 11th.
September 11th. Okay.
Last year.
Okay. All right. Well, she just stepped out. She just brought us Chinese tea.
Yes, she's a nice girl. Yeah.
She's a nice girl,
Yeah.
and she's here and going to live in Champlain.
Yeah.
Does she speak English well?
When we first come here, she doesn't know any English, but she's just learning. She probably can speak a few words now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I don't know any Chinese at all,
A Chinese is easy to talk, to speak.
Easy?
Easy, yeah. How means how are you, but very difficult in writing. You see that each word.
I see that. It takes a long time, yes.
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 Yeah.
And you write, they write very, very well, too.
Yes, yeah.
And it's up and down, right?
Yeah, this way, yeah.
Yeah. You go from the right to the left?
Yeah, right to left. Fu.
Okay. And you have your
Yeah,
pictures.
there's some sceneries from Hangzhou, China. Hangzhou is West Lake, one of the beautiful cities in China. When you go to China, Hangzhou, Suzhou, Shanghai.
Well, now with the new policy in China, with only one child, you have to think about that, Sally. One child means you have no brother or sister. You have no cousins. Later on, there'll be no cousins because you have no brothers or sisters who had children. Or your parents won't have any. And you better be a boy, too, because they want a boy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Boy takes care of the family later on.
Yes.
How many were there in your family?
Pardon me?
How many in your family? Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters.
Uh-huh.
Now all my brothers passed away, only 1 sister left. Yeah. I have lots nephews. So many of them.
Lots of nephews.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll take another short break. We're going to go out and see the pride and joy of Reverend Wu, and what's it called? What do you got outside you want us to see?
Garden.
Garden, yes.
I have very, very grateful to Sally's husband, Carl Smith, every year voluntarily plow the garden.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me he weeds it for you.
No,
you don't weed it, huh?
No. I have lots. I'm really so happy, in working the garden. Yeah.
Now, does he plow it or have somebody plow it?
He did it by himself.
Himself?
Yes.
Carl did that?
Yes.
Well, that's very good. Thank you very much, Carl. That was very nice, Carl.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. That's why I don't like to leave. I'm going to stay here.
Look what she's doing here, Calvin. She's got me by the arm.
He's not on here.
I wanted to start at the other end, and she said, "You're going down here."
Because one year Carl had gallbladder, right? And he
Ah.
always blamed it on Reverend Wu's wonderful corn. But the corn is gone by. But
Yeah.
you tell about your Hubbard squash.
Yeah, we're outside now. We're outside, and you're going to tell us about your big garden.
I do have big garden, but the corn is all over, and I have a few winter squash left over. As for Carl Smith, because he plants garden every year, only thing I can do to plant some winter squash for Sally and him. Little late, not too big, because this year is little small down there.
So you plant it next to the building here because you don't want too much sun on it? Is that what happened? Is that true? You don't want much sun?
I just plant down there. I don't know why, but I just plant there every year. It seems
You know,
to me it grow, yeah.
You ought to get that building torn down, and you'd get more sun on your garden. Who owns that building?
That's Sally owns it.
Sally owns that building?
Yes.
She's pretty close to you there, isn't she, huh?
Yeah, we are.
We have quite a joke going because all he ever asks, I decorate with those in the church, and all he ever asks is that I'll always save some seeds. So afterwards, I cut some up, or have Carl cut them up, because they're very tough, they seem, but they're delicious inside, and give them around, and then I dry the seeds and give them back, and then he has, this is just an ongoing process.
Yeah, well, you buy that in the store. It's pretty expensive.
Very
How
expensive.
much a pound?
One year I paid 32 cents a pound,
Hey.
and they wanted to know how much of the squash I wanted, and I said, oh dear, I guess I want the whole thing. So we split it between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So when Reverend Wu said, would you like some to put in the church and decorate? I said yes. So I never waste them.
Now, Sally, 32 cents a pound is not very much.
Well, it's
You
a
didn't
lot.
have to go out and float a load to do that. Now, did you?
After I spent that kind, yes.
You know about his trip to Scotland, and you're part Scottish, huh?
Well, we have to be conservative. You know how that is. But I'm sorry to say the frost has just got them here just the other evening.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But,
Was it that much of a frost?
I didn't get any in Ross's Point, but it
Okay.
touched up here. But you can
Yes,
see he
yes.
still has some, still growing up close to the building there. So.
This is the back of the house, built in 1830. Is
1830.
when they started this manse right here on Oak Street in Champlain.
Yeah.
The large house, got plenty of room, don't you?
Plenty of room.
Plenty
yes.
of room. Okay.
All the house. There's lots of repair there.
And we're having trouble getting Grace to come over and talk with her. She doesn't speak much English, but this is Grace here, his new bride. Right here, we're looking at her garden,
Grace.
and she's trying to
Grace?
Grace looking
Okay.
south instead. Hi, Grace. She's learning English and doing very well. I speak very fast, and this morning, strictly through nostrils, I'm not breathing very well at all, and I apologize for that. Now, what do we have here? What's your next?
Oh, that's zucchini here.
That's zucchini.
Yeah.
Now, the Chinese like vegetables probably an awful lot more than Americans. You use a lot of greens, don't you?
I don't know. I like the vegetables.
You like vegetables,
yeah.
huh?
I cut it some zucchini with my noodles. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a Chinese vegetable here.
Okay.
That's
What is that? What is it?
That's they call the green vegetables. The seed-
Green vegetables?
Yeah. We brought the seed from Shanghai, China. Yeah, that's Greece garden.
Okay,
here.
now what do you get? Something in the ground, or do you eat the greens?
We eat the greens.
The greens
the
is what
leaves.
you eat, huh?
Yes, yeah.
Do you eat it by itself, or do you put it with something else?
I eat it myself.
By yourself. All right, by itself, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
This looks like my garden right here.
it's the weeds.
No, vegetable.
Oh,
This
this
is vegetable too.
I didn't know. This is also Chinese vegetable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Chinese vegetable?
Yes.
Yeah,
You calling it a weed? Oh,
I thought the weeds, but I don't know.
Yes.
God.
but you've been picking a lot of it. What's that called?
This is called Chinese called 香菜.
Xiangcai.
Yeah,
Xiangcai.
Xiangcai.
Yeah.
Xiangcai.
You know what we should hear? You know what we should hear? Just a moment here. We ought to hear a short conversation.
靠的是个 好菜。他那边日子
That's all right.
日子那个上海reservoir name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we ought to hear you speak Chinese. Can you tell us welcome to your house and thanks for coming in Chinese? Oh, she doesn't know what I said.
Yeah, she does.
You know what I said? Can you say welcome to your house and thanks for coming in Chinese for me?
说 coming，
Yeah.
说 Chinese 是过来 ，coming 是过来。
Okay, so that coming would be pretty the same, huh?
Yeah. 欢迎你到我们家来，欢迎你到我们家来，是啊，欢迎。
I like it better when she said it.
Yeah, yes.
I like it better when she said
I
it.
know. Yes, yeah.
All right. Now, okay.
This season's gone. This.
Yep, your tomatoes are just about.
Cucumbers,
I guess you.
cucumbers, yeah.
Oh.
This,
Oh, now look at nice. Look
yeah,
at the
this green
cabbage.
peppers. This cabbage.
Now, what is this?
This is
Show her the eggplant.
green pepper.
This
This is
eggplant.
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 That's
Okay.
green peppers.
Eggplant back in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at the size of the cabbage.
Can you see the eggplant right in here?
Yeah.
Yes, there's one. Yes.
There's one on each side.
Don't touch, Robert. Look, see here. Huh?
Yeah.
See?
Now
Yes.
gone. Yeah. Just small.
Yeah.
This is the cabbage, which I plant every year.
Wow.
I provide this for the Women's Association in Rouses Point for the election
Dinner. Yes. You get a lot of people for that election dinner,
Yes,
don't you? Huh?
over 200 people
Yes.
came for that dinner. Yeah.
Okay.
There's another Chinese
Now,
vegetable. You better open up. Yeah.
This is the Chinese resident.
Yes.
Did you bring blue stones from China? Where'd you get the blue stones, Grace?
还有我包。This.
There's another Chinese vegetable.
You can see.
Uh-huh. Now, is that like an onion?
Almost. This is called the juice.
Chinese called
break some off so Bob can test it.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't
Yeah,
eat. No,
yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
No, don't do it. Don't do it. I'll be glad to hear
No.
you tell me.
it's
No.
very good.
Is
I
it-
just ate some. I really
I'm not going to eat any, so you can ask me all you want.
看意思。
Yes, be a sport.
Yeah, okay.
Look at-
I'll bring it home to my wife. She likes me to bring her home presents.
Bob, don't you remember
You
the
can
other
eat.
end? The
Need
other
more?
end.
Come back.
The other end. I start from
Right,
this.
the other end. It's very good.
你可以一体这些。
Grace,
Mhm.
I let the cows eat the greens,
Mhm.
and I eat the cow. That's what I do, all right? You speak English quite well. You just don't try to talk to me.
Maybe I learn.
You're learning very well, yes.
Thank you.
But of course, I speak fast, so it's harder for you. You know? I have to really
Yeah.
think about. So, do you keep the garden mostly? Is it your garden or his garden?
This
This is yours right here.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta have some more. Here.
Yes, this is Reverend Wu's and this is Grace's.
I would rather have a candy bar.
This grew up for hot water. I think this is winter coming cold. I think the favorite cover.
Right now, can you keep those very long in the house?
No,
No, huh?
no, winter 都要干。
Okay. Can you buy that in the store? No.
Yes,
huh?
I in Montreal.
Oh, you can, huh?
Yes, I can in Montreal
Not
buy.
Yeah.
Not here.
Did you know that they have a ginseng field up here on Route 276?
No, I don't know.
Yes, there is.
Oh.
Yes. You know where the school is? The big school?
Yes.
About a half a mile toward the border.
Oh.
On the right side, they got. We were supposed to go, but we haven't done it yet. And they've got all the covering over it. Yeah, ginseng.
Yeah, this is very.
You'll have to go see it.
Someday.
Okay. Do you like ginseng?
Yes.
You like ginseng? Huh? Do you use ginseng for
Ginseng tea.
Yes.
for tea?
Yes.
Okay.
It is amazing, Bob, how this has all come to be because I saw how little the plants were when they got them. And it's marvelous of how it's all taken. I don't know if it's been our warm weather this summer, but everything is produced exceptionally well.
No. It's her.
That's
It's
right.
her. It's her.
Right.
She's the one. She's got the magic on it right there. The magic hands. See, look. See those magic hands. Look, see? That's what does it.
I hear how she works so early in the morning.
Okay, now, what is this some more Chinese?
This is个人来吧。
Okay. Yeah, so this is Chinese, that's Chinese, and there's two over there.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what will you use for seeds for next year? Can you get seeds from this?
Yeah, yes. They kind of 那个 other 那个 yellow flower 都开始 seed.
That's the seed for
Yeah.
this?
Yes, for this.
Oh, yes?
Yes, for this. 那个 next year 你可以 plant. Seed.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is the second crop on beans, right?
We'll take another short break here. We're at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Carlton, Reverend and Mrs. Carlton Wu on Oak Street. We're at the manse, and we're talking with Sally Barnes Smith. I got to mention Barnes because it's a great name in and around Rouses Point. I'm Bob Venn, Calvin Caston. Our program's called What's Going On Here? And what's going on is we're finding out about the retirement of this young gentleman after only 37 years here at Champlain Rouses Point. Reverend Carlton Wu.
Thank you for coming. Thank you very much.
You're looking at the home of Mrs. Kenneth Kaufman right now on the corner of Oak and Chestnut. That's the location of where the Presbyterian Church was built in 1829, burned in 1844. Then after that, the lot was sold and it became the property of Timothy Hoyle, Hoyle, who built a beautiful home right there in the corner. This was the Episcopal Church just across the road up until about 1930 when they built new church just about 500 feet from here, and the Presbyterians bought this. It says First Presbyterian and Congregational Church, founded in 1802, above the door. That's true, but not here. That might have been the original plate probably that they built when it was on the other church, and they moved it. As we're looking at the front of the church, we have a new battery put in. You noticed a couple little spots in your window here,
yes.
Huh? That wasn't there before?
No, the first time I noticed.
You know, we're very fortunate in our community. We haven't had much this to our churches. We haven't had that kind of a problem.
I'd say people ringing bells.
Except ringing bells, yes. But that's years ago, Calvin. We could do that then. That's all we did. We didn't injure anything. We just got the minister a little upset, the pastor. We were talking, when was the last time you had services here as Sunday services?
About 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many people could you seat in this church?
I probably would say around 45 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calvin and I were talking, how old do you have to be as a parishioner to be an elder? Any particular age?
No. Anyone is active members can be an elder of the church.
Okay, we talked about 80 members in your church. That doesn't include, that's not families, that's people.
That's people, not including children.
Okay, the children you don't count as such.
No.
Okay. Out of your 80 in, say, in Rouses Point, how many would you get on an average Sunday?
Oh, like Sunday, we have around 40.
You get about half?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And you baptize.
Yes.
And you have, do you have any confirmation or anything beyond that? And marriage? Anything else? In the Presbyterian Church?
No, we do have, communion classes.
You do?
If you
Okay.
have young people,
Communion classes. And then you have your, okay, why don't you get over here? We'll keep the church in the background too here. That'll be better. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is your, that's not your driveway. You don't have a driveway,
No,
huh?
don't have a driveway, yes. This parking
Right.
is a problem here, yeah.
Okay. You don't know when this church was built.
No.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I know it was here in 1869,
Yeah.
and I assume it was not here when they built. I didn't check that, to tell you the truth, when it was going to be built. You'll notice that it's starting to lean a little bit. It hasn't had a lot of work done.
No.
You could spend a lot of money here.
Yeah, you are right. It's an old church. Yeah, you have to spend a lot of money to fix up. Yeah.
But right now, there's no plans as far as you know to do anything.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, Reverend Wu, we thank you very much for your time, for meeting with us.
Well, thank you for coming to see me. I didn't know you do this. Otherwise I will prepare something.
Oh,
for this.
well, we don't need to be prepared. You did very well. We
thank you.
got through. We don't have anything special we've got to do. We met your wife. We saw your garden.
Thank you.
And anybody out there will be seeing this after he has his Mass on the 1st. You won't see this until the 8th.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, services on the 10:30. But then they're going to have a dinner afterward. We hope that you were able to attend. I imagine it'll be in the paper. Do you have to be invited to go to your dinner?
I have to be invited. I'm sort of limited downstairs.
You're limited. Yeah, you're limited.
140 people are sent to
It's
come.
about all you can put.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll see you around the community. You're not going to leave.
No, this is my home. It's been 37 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for watching Hometown Cable. Remember, if you're not a patron, you ought to be. And if you're a Presbyterian and you're not enrolled in either of these churches nearby, get enrolled. Get back to your church. For nice people like this, and we're going to find out later who the new pastor will be. And but this man will be around here for the rest of his days. And in Champlain, New York. Thanks for tuning in to Hometown Cable.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's the day after. It's Tuesday. And yesterday we talked a little bit about Yehudi Ashman when we were talking with Reverend Wu. And we didn't make it too clear, I'm afraid. I didn't make it too clear just who he was and how well known this man was. He was born here in Champlain on April 21st, 1794, at this site on Upper Oak Street, Lot 70. I think it's called Lot 70, but I'm not sure about that now. Anyway, he was born here of one of the first settlers of Champlain. His father was Samuel Ashman, and his mother was Parthenia, Parthenia. We don't hear that very often. He was baptized and became a member of the Presbyterian Church here in Champlain in 1807 and went to school here. In 1959, They had another memorial to him in Champlain, and at the time, Morsefield Press in Champlain made up this book on some notes on Yehudi Ashman, early life in Champlain, together with 6 letters concerning his last days and his death. Died very young. Anyway, he went on to school to Middlebury, University of Vermont, and one of the first things it says in here, he left the village of Champlain in 1816, before he was 22 years old, never again to see his parents, his brothers, his sisters, or his boyhood friends. He went to Connecticut, where he joined the colonization movement, the American Colonization Society, which was endeavoring to establish a colony in Africa for former Negro slaves. In 1822, he and his wife, Catherine, sailed for a newly created settlement of Liberia with a second shipload of colonists who were former slaves, intending to return to America immediately. But when he got there, he found that the colony was in very bad condition, a wretched state of disorder, and he stayed there. He undertook the reorganization and became, so to speak, the George Washington of his time for Liberia. He was the first colonization agent. His wife, they both got very sick. His wife died shortly thereafter, and he stayed another 6 years until 1828 when he got so sick that he had to come back to America. He lived less than 6 months, and he died in 1828 at the age of 34. He was called the father of Liberia. In 1938, the state put up 6 of these markers in the community, one of which was here. He was there from 1822 to 1828. In 1959, they put up a marker in front of the school. We're going to stop there and see that. And I'll show you some pictures that were taken in 1959. Please stay with us. You're watching Hometown Cable. This is the monument put up in 1959 on August the 8th, when a large celebration in the village for several things was held. You can see it's too bad the cement is starting to break up here in front. Again, born Champlain 1794, died New Haven 1828, Yehudi Ashman, first agent in Liberia, schoolmaster in Champlain 1815. His wife, Catherine Gray, was also teaching in Champlain, and then when they went on to New Haven, Connecticut, they were married. And this was erected in 1959. This was the scene in front of the school in 1959 in August, while the people were waiting. The stone is right in here. And this is the scene. The dignitaries were here from New York, from the Federal State Department, and also the ambassador from Liberia was here to dedicate this marker. This is the marker here as it looked in 1959. This is the ambassador from Liberia. We think this is one of Bob Greenberg's daughters, and this may be Henrik Greenberg, but I haven't identified him for sure. Also, right here in front of this school, for you older people, 3 dignitaries who were here, people that were very, very well known at that time and before, the Andrews sisters, Maxine, Laverne, and I forgot her, Shirley, huh? No, I don't know, I forget her, no, Maxine, Laverne, and that's the third one, she's here. John Ross, Eugene Lincourt, the ambassador from Liberia. This was Roger de Champlain, a direct descendant of Samuel de Champlain, because they also rededicated the Champlain Monument near St. Mary's at that time. These pictures are copies I made from some originals that were taken by Mr. Costello, who was worked for the federal government here. They were owned by Mrs. Louise Zerlo, John Zerlo's mother, and she loaned them to John, and I had copies made for our school reunion. And I'm indebted to both of them and also to Mr. Costello, Michael, who is no longer with us. But this is it. He arrived 1822. He saved Liberia from destruction in 2 battles against hostile natives, expanded its territory, codified its laws, established commerce, initiated democratic government. His fight for Negro freedom gave birth to a new nation. He's in the encyclopedias. You can find his name, Yehudi Ashman. One of the books I've read said that 800 natives attacked his location, and with 35 people strategically located, he repulsed them, and later a second larger group was repulsed. Yehudi Ashman, be very proud. The most famous, probably.
Member of this congregation.
Of this, oh yes, and the member of the congregation of the Presbyterian Church we're talking about, who was baptized in 1807. He wasn't here very long, but he was a member of your congregation here in Champlain, New York, long before Reverend Wu came. One of the pleasant parts of what I do is meeting people every day. Never know who we're going to meet for sure. People we haven't seen very often, but there are 2 of them here. Sally I see more often. First lady is?
Geraldine Wright.
Geraldine Wright, and maiden name?
I was in Edgerton.
Edgerton, yes. Her mom is still very much alive at what age?
95 years old.
95 years old and very, very active. And?
Sally Smith.
Sally Smith, we talked with her yesterday. And?
Beatrice Jefferson.
Another well-known name, Jefferson. I remember when I was working in the cemetery, I was looking for Jefferson, and it said Jeffrio.
That's right.
And a G-E-F-F-R-I-O-N or something, right? And I was all mixed up. Ladies, you are very active in your church here. We're in the Presbyterian Church on Washington Avenue in Rouses Point, continuing our story about the Presbyterians. Are you all elders?
Yes.
All 3 of you?
Yes.
Do you have to be a lady to be an elder?
No.
Well, just happens to be the 3 I've got are ladies.
That's right.
All right. You're all locally from Rouses Point, all 9 elders.
Yes.
Originally, I was not from Rouses.
You were Champlain, huh, originally?
Yep.
Where?
Originally, I came from Canada,
Canada.
Cornwall, Ontario.
Okay. How long have you been elders? Are you elected? Oh, excuse me.
Once you're an elder, you're always an elder.
You're always an elder. And are
You go off and on the board.
I thought I bet these were the oldest people in your parish. That's not true, is it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I was just kidding there. But now, you've been how long as an elder?
Why, probably 20 years. Probably.
20 years? And you're elected to that position?
And you always are one, and you go out on and off the board.
You're elected by your congregation, not by the minister himself, the Reverend, is that right?
No, there's a nominating committee.
Okay.
That-
But you're not a hand-picked like you say a trustee would be in our church or something like that.
No, there's a nominating committee.
Okay, then you're elected. Okay. And you've been how long?
This is my second term this time. Sometimes you can go consecutively. It depends.
Well, now, if you're always an elder. Once you're an elder, why would you have terms then?
Inactive or inactive.
Okay.
It's a learning experience.
I'm learning too. Okay, and how long?
About 20 years.
20 years
Yeah.
too. Huh? What does the elder do? Are you the recommendation group to the pastor? Is that basically?
We had meetings once a month and discuss anything that's happening in the church. Also plan for the expenses, things that have got to happen. Who's going to committees?
You plan for income too? Try to?
Yes.
Expenses come along
Stewardship
without much
committee.
planning, huh? Yes.
Stewardship committees,
Yes.
and all of these committees are set up.
Beautiful church. And I saw out front, it was built in 1891, the first Presbyterian church in Rouses Point, first building as such. Before that, I guess they must have attended in Champlain. Is that what happened? Do you know?
There was a church in Champlain.
And
There's
then-
one in Morris also. I don't remember.
And they attended from here if you were a Rouses Point
1904
Presbyterian?
was just a little ahead of me.
Okay. 1903, there was a fire. Anybody know anything about the fire?
Fire, the records show that the fire started as the mortgage was paid off.
That's what you get for burning the mortgage, see?
And they rebuilt.
They rebuilt it. Okay. Beautiful wood, very well kept, very clean, and this is part of, you have a custodian as such, or is that?
We have a custodian.
You have a custodian, okay. And downstairs is where they have their famous dinners. The first Presbyterian church, Rouses Point, New York, 1990. It started in 1990, I guess. Okay, ladies, you're getting ready for a big celebration this weekend. Sunday. And we think we know one of the reasons is because of a party for your pastor who's leaving.
He's giving us the party.
He's giving you the party. Oh, all right. The only pastor you can remember?
No. He's been here 37 years. I remember, Ronnie and I were married by Reverend Watson.
Yes.
So I remember a couple
You
more.
remember
But
other
there are
pastors.
people who don't.
Right. Well, there aren't many parishes who have the same pastor for 37 years, Beatrice?
No, not very many.
Beatrice, do you remember the Presbyterian Church in Canada?
Yes.
Is there much difference between the U.S. and Canadian Presbyterian Church?
No,
You know?
no. This communion, everything is served the same.
The same. You know, we were talking before, you have communion Sunday 4 times a year. I thought it was every Sunday, but it's not.
No.
Is it always the same 4 Sundays? Like the 1st of January, the 1st of April, or something like that?
You're embarrassing me.
Am I?
Yes, a little bit.
Oh, I don't want to do
No,
that,
I know you don't.
because I
I'm
don't.
trying to think of when they are.
Okay.
4th of July, we have one.
4th of July.
4th of July, we have it on Palm Sunday.
Okay, I don't have to get
I
them
don't
exactly, but in other words, they are
What
definite
time?
times,
Yes.
all the time. Okay. So tell us what's going to happen this Sunday. It'd be too late when people are watching this. It already happened. So what's going to happen this Sunday now? The
Well,
plans.
it's Reverend Wu giving appreciation dinner to the people of the church, plus some outside friends, I should say. And we are tying in a little Thanksgiving of ourselves to, we are very happy to have had him this many years, but we're very saddened. So we are trying to tie in a little bit of our own celebration on his behalf.
Okay. I believe you will see following this, I'm not exactly sure, Calvin tends to be here for parts of the services and maybe part of it afterward. I'm tied up in Champlain. As far as I know, we have our own dinner that day, but I'm still not sure. I'm not coming, put it that way. I would like to be here to see Reverend Wu's last services, certainly. Thank you. We'll take a short break and come right back. We're at the Presbyterian Church, Rouses Point, continuing in our story of this other very important group in our community. Talked a little bit off camera. We sometimes do that. I mentioned what we don't know about the Presbyterian Church. Let me say it again. Ladies, as you probably know, people who don't attend your services are not Presbyterians. All we know is what we read in the paper or see on TV. We know that you have an election dinner every year. Well, and it's good, too, because we've been to that. We know you have the Christmas cantata, and we know Reverend Wu, and we know you individually. I don't even know sometimes what religion you are, because I see you in other churches. But on this poster up here, you said a lot of this, there are other things besides what I just mentioned.
Well, that commemorated our 100th anniversary of our church.
Okay.
And on the left-hand side, right under the 1890, that depicts the fire that you mentioned before.
Yes, 1903.
Right, okay. And moving over to the side on the right, that is our Christmas cantata, which has been well-attended and well-supported.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. How long has that been going on? I don't mean the starting year, but...
No, Sally can tell you that. That was, Mrs. Wu started that, and when was it? Oh, well, what was it? Do we have our 30...
It must be 35 years.
35 years?
It's
Okay.
got to be 35.
So the Wu started
Mrs.
after
Wu
they
started
came.
that.
Okay.
She was choir director
She,
at the
and she was
time.
a very good musical person,
Yes,
correct?
she was choir director.
Were you part of that, Bee? Did
No.
you sing?
No, I didn't sing.
You and I can listen very well.
I
though.
can listen, and as long as everybody else is singing, I'm fine.
Okay. How many people come?
It started with our own members of our choir. And Irene gave endless hours to this cantata. And then it just kept growing and growing. And I, for one, even though this is my church, I really felt it should be done when Irene passed away. Because this had been her baby and had just grown and nurtured it so lovingly through the years. But Reverend Wu wanted it continued, and we had another cantata last Christmas.
Uh-huh.
Now, God only knows what's going to happen this year, but we really, when I hope that we have Rogues Gallery downstairs for the celebration and showing the years, and maybe you can focus in on, a lot of us haven't gotten younger.
Well, this has become a tradition in the area now.
Yes, it
No
has.
question. And now it's ecumenical, correct?
Yes, it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Right across.
And that's why I was going to say that we've brought people in from other churches and really had great friendship on, and I think deep down, everyone has looked forward to this.
And
through
if
the
maybe
years.
somebody don't even belong to a church.
That's
might even
right.
be in it, right? You don't have to be in a church. But it's great. You have a very, I must admit, I haven't been to very many of them. There's always something happening, or it gets cold, or I find out too late. I say, not excuse me. I'll try next coming year, for
Well,
sure.
Mrs. Wu was a musical teacher
I know she
in
was,
our
yes.
school system. So she was very talented, and then we've had different directors through the years, and Mr. Davies has given a lot of his time in the last, I'd say, 10 years at least, he and his wife Millie.
Okay. Okay, continuing on now with your
Okay.
banner.
Down below is the baptismal font that was donated by Mr. Markham. It's right over there, right now to the...
Right here? Right straight in front of you here, the baptismal font? That was, okay, Mr. Markham. And then, of course, the picture of your church.
And then, yes, but this...
The kneeler?
Sally was instrumental in having that made. It's a reproduction from
Over here,
The
right?
Methodist
Yes.
Church, but that is solid cherry.
Okay, it says, given in honor of Ruth Barnes Edgerton, 90th birthday by her friends and family, dedicated August 12th, 1990. Well, aren't I glad I mentioned Ruth Edgerton earlier now? See that? All right.
And then down below is, our church had the first ecumenical Thanksgiving service anywhere in this area. At the time, it was not a popular thing for priests to come into a Protestant church, and they came. And we had that, an ecumenical service for many, many years.
You even go further and say you better not be seen coming in the Protestant church for a service, probably, back in 40 years ago. But now they have it at the different churches, and they take turns preaching and so forth. Yes.
It's been good.
Okay, now, of course, one of your highlights, and that's your great dinner there on the right. Huh?
Yes, it is. Yep.
You vote first, and then you come to dinner, or vice versa.
Well, yes, we try to work it all in before the day's over.
Yeah, but if you vote first, you'll digest your food much better.
Okay, I'll keep that in
Okay,
mind.
because you don't know, you aren't worrying who you're going to vote for, you're going to change at the last minute. So there'll be another one this year?
Yes, there will.
Okay. In remembrance, it's a beautiful banner. Who made the banner, by the way? Whose idea was this?
Well, many of us. Actually, a member of the Catholic Church was Mary Frankie.
Yes.
Mary Duffy
Yes.
Frankie. She's very artistic, you know.
Moving out of the village now, isn't she?
I don't know.
Well, yes, she's got a nice new house
I know.
out there on Leggett
She's
Road,
still
I believe. Wait, if she ever gets there, Paul, you hear that?
We worked at her house many, many evenings.
Is that
and
right?
she was very, very good. She did much of the designing of that.
Okay. Now, Beatrice, you know anything about this cross and this back seat here? Is that
No.
Sally again?
The cross is Sally's.
All right, Sally, what about that cross?
I'm shameful to say I do not know what year, but my father, Charles J. Marnes, made that cross, and he and my mother have donated that in memory of his mother and father, Mr. and Mrs. George Marnes, and my mother's parents, Mr. and Mrs. George Conkright.
Very nice, very
And,
nice.
Maybe later on I can tell you the year, but, you know, it was so simple, but as the years have gone on, at least we've had a cross in the front of our church. So I think it means more to me now, I guess, when he was actually working so hard making it, because I was, I think, rather young. And
That wasn't very long ago, was it?
No, that
And
wasn't
I had
very
a
long
chance
ago.
to say, well, that was a long time ago, but I didn't say that.
I would always love to think that that was Sally Smith with that beautiful window over top, but Jerry will tell you about that.
I
The
don't.
window?
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. It's not Sally Smith.
Okay. What about this emblem here on the right, this banner? Mean anything other than that?
Well, those were the days when we were making banners. It was
Okay.
very popular for banners in the church, and
It depicts the different types of
Yeah.
crosses.
and
Okay.
there is
The history
it's
of it.
Just don't
explained-
want to hang any of those banners outside in Plattsburgh, because you could be in
Oh,
real
that's
trouble, right?
That's right.
I'm trying to think
Think of the
of
people
the
that-
family, though, that pulled that together. He was our administrator
Right.
here in the village.
Done.
Dunn.
yeah.
Done? Okay.
Not
All
done.
Yes,
It was done, but
yes, but I can't.
All right, we got one more emblem in the back. We got a little plaque on a seat in the back. What is that all about? See that right back
Joey?
there?
Well, my mother has always sat in that pew.
Okay.
And this, so they decided that we would put that little plaque on.
Very
My mother
nice.
probably is the oldest member of this church. She must be.
Probably the old, if the member today probably has been a member longer than anybody also.
She will be 96 in January. So.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take another short break, and then we'll be leaving here. We got one more person to talk to when we leave the church. I hope you enjoy. Listen, come here to this cantata. Is about when? Do you know when it will be?
Middle of December, probably.
Okay, watch the papers. If there is one.
But we're going to have a church supper, and that's an election night.
Okay.
And the other thing I would just like to say that I believe that Reverend Wu was the first clergy to start the border clergy in this area and have meetings of all of the different churches.
He's
And
that kind of a person.
That's
I tell you,
He
I
formed
He's a
it.
peacemaker.
he certainly is, and he's a peacekeeper, because I don't know if any time that man's ever been in any controversy. Of course, I'm not part of his parish here, but
He's kind and gentle.
okay, he'll still be in our midst, too. We'll be
And
right
we
back.
also have
Oh.
a chicken and biscuit supper in the spring, in February and March.
Okay, watch the papers.
Watch the papers back at that time.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll still be able to carry on.
There aren't as many dinners either in the spring as there is in the fall when everybody's having one. So don't forget, come then and come election. We'll be right back.
All right.
You know, one of the things people tell us, how come you have an awful lot of services at the Catholic Church and not as many at the others? Well, of course, we're more familiar, and there's more people who go to the Catholic Church than the other churches, and but there's no reason why we aren't going to be here. We've been here before. We're asking now what this plaque is for, the big overall board.
This is a plaque in memory of deceased members and families. And it started with Harold Chase, who was a custom officer. I
Yes,
believe
he
you
was.
remember
Yeah, worked
him.
with me.
And everybody that donate a particular amount,
Okay.
then the plaque is put in their memory.
Okay. Now, do they give money generally, or do they buy something for the church?
No, they
Either way?
usually give money.
Money,
And
okay.
then the money is used for, or unless they say they want it specifically, donated for different
Very
things.
nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And the others here are babies, and not all the babies?
Well, no, just some of them in the last few after a certain time. The girls and the boys.
Okay,
those-
and then
veterans.
veterans who have served, and then I guess the star is someone who's lost their life, 3 of them here, who have been here at this church.
And they're not all up to date.
And you look at these names, you know, and you're looking at some of the history of not only the church, but of Rouses Point. These are family names.
Yes.
People like Neil and Leo McCollum, Milo Mars, those are people that and the Cronkites, you know, these people have been here for years in this community, and their names are well known. And we're going to ask, I guess, Mr. Forbes about the stained glass windows. He knows the story about those, and we're going to let the ladies get back to work because they're preparing. Yes, 2 more things. Yes, 2 more things. Okay, we're in the vestibule here, I guess you'd say, the front entrance. We're looking at lights. Why are we looking at those lights?
Well, we're looking at those lights because my mother made those when she was working with stained glass in memory of my father, who died in 1955.
Very nice, very nice. And now that's Ruth Edgerton again we're
Yes,
talking
yeah.
about. And that'll be here for a long, 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 long time, if not forever, right? There's a plaque down below. Does that commemorate anything that I should see? Or is that construction of the church? Okay. Under the ministry of the Reverend William Fraser. Okay, and there's one more thing you say now. We'll get you doing it here. So if something happens while you're doing it, it's going to be part of our history. And it looks like a large cross.
And it's going to
Watch those windows or we'll be...
It's going to be erected, I believe, on the top of the steeple on Saturday, and it was made in memory of Ellsworth Group.
Be careful, I don't think
Yeah, watch that corner right there. It's going to be... Ellsworth Grew. Okay, very nice. Now...
I think I should spin front of it.
Oh, that's all right. We don't want to stand in front of it. She's just the right height, too. Okay, so this is something brand new. Is this donated by someone in particular?
No, donations were made to the church.
To the church to have this put up. Very
The
nice.
church, and it was made, and it's going to be erected on, it's going to be put up on Saturday.
Okay. And Rodney's going to go up there and put that up. Rodney Wright.
He hasn't said so,
He hasn't said so. All right.
but he doesn't tell me everything.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies. We're going to...
Thank you, Bob.
We'll take a picture. Yeah, get a picture outside of front of your church. We have some sprinkling outside. There's the Rouses Point Presbyterian outside. Carlton Wu, pastor. Services Sunday 9:30, Sunday school 9:30. They operate in 2 different sections in conjunction. The First Presbyterian Church, Rouses Point, New York, Reverend Carlton Wu, pastor. Erected 1891, destroyed by fire 1903, re-erected 1904, and improved several times since. And it's raining harder than we think. Thank you very much for watching Hometown Cable. A well-known name and a well-known face, Franklin Forbes. I've never met the man personally before. I've seen him and I've heard about him and I've seen your picture in the paper, Mr. Forbes. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Let's just start off a little bit. You're going to talk a little bit about the Presbyterian Church, but first of all, we'll find out about Mr. Forbes. Where were you born and where were you raised, Mr. Forbes?
I was born in Nova Scotia, Canada, and I went to Dalhousie University in Halifax for 4 years, and then to McGill University in Montreal for 3 years, where I took my master's degree in biochemistry. Then I joined the old Ayres, McKenna and Harrison in Montreal, And in 1936, they'd opened a branch here in Rouses Point, a small unit for transshipment of drugs to all parts of the United States. And they asked me to come over here and manage it. I liked Montreal very much and said, well, I'll go for a year. Well, I spent my lifetime here.
You came in 36?
In 36.
Well, now, you are an old-timer. You came at just about the time when they were here, right?
That's right.
Yes, they came originally, I think it said in 34, when they first made arrangements to come here.
They came down in 34.
Yeah.
I came in 36. And we had a total of 7 employees at the time. And when I retired in 74, we had over 1,200.
Unbelievable. You were manager all those years?
Yes, and the last 2 or 3 years I was president of the company.
You have a lot with Carlton Wu. He was here for 37 years too.
I know it? Yes.
I know that, right? 37 years, and you were here for all of that.
Yes,
you know,
a very fine man, a
yes.
very fine Christian, and we were very happy to have his services.
You lived in Rouses Point?
Yes. Had to build after the war. We built a home on Pine Street where we occupied for over 30 years. Then we had an opportunity to sell it, and we went to Florida and built a home down there. God willing, it'll be my 11th year in our home in Florida.
Where are you in Florida?
In Eustis, which is central Florida, about 25 miles north of Orlando.
Okay, so it gets cool there, but yet it's...
Well, the winters are nice. When it starts to heat up, I like to get north. I love the North Country.
Was your wife from Canada?
Yes, she was. She was born out in Saskatchewan, and I met her at McGill.
You've lost your wife, I understand.
Yes, in 91.
In 91?
Yes.
It's a different life now, isn't it?
Oh, very much so.
Any children, Mr. Ford?
No, we haven't been blessed with a family, but we have lots of nieces and nephews.
How many were in your family, brothers and
3.
sisters?
There were 3 boys in the family. My father was a medical doctor, and my mother was a nurse, and we lived in Moncton, New Brunswick in the last years of his life.
So you found a home in Rouses Point, huh?
Oh, yes, and enjoyed the locale and the people.
Yes, and you raised some people that took your place. Mr. Mara, I think, was your successor?
Yes, he was, Bob Mara was an associate of mine for 25 years, and he succeeded me.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Wetterhand, Gustav Wetterhand, took over from him. And then Ralph Boardman.
And he's gone now.
And Ralph is gone, and the new man in now with Wyeth Ayers, this association, is a man by the name of Brooks.
Yeah,
William Brooks.
So you were a manager, I mean, in a sense of administration more than you were...
in the chemical
once you got in the job,
yes,
right?
Yes, I got into administration, then into management and so on. And I went to New York for 40 years, about 2 and 3 days a month. And I was a vice president of the New York organization, as well as the up here.
I told you it was a fixture in the North Country. I didn't know quite all of this before.
I enjoyed my association with the State University of New York, and for 16 years served on the college council. And I made lots of college friends, and the college were very cooperative in helping us with the new people coming in and making courses available and so on. You
were directors at other companies too, weren't you? Other like the banks as well.
Well, I was. Yes, I was on the National Bank in Plattsburgh for several years. When Mr. What was his? I forget his last name now at the moment. Not Greg, but well, it doesn't matter anyway. But cut that out, will you?
You didn't know we were going to. We don't cut any of this out. Listen, this is it. This shows you that even a manager for 37 years can forget things at times.
Join the club. Yeah.
Join the club. Well, you're reminiscing here a little bit. You forget some of this before. Things happen a lot over 37. You've been here since. Well, you've been here nearly 50 years.
Oh, yes.
60 years nearly, 50 some odd.
Well, I'm really one of the old guard, I guess now.
Your camp down there, did you do much of this work yourself?
Yes, we did. In the early years, the first section there we put up in 1948. And then we added on as it went along and so on over the years. We did a lot of the work ourselves, my wife and myself.
She was an outdoors person too, was she?
Yes, she loved it here, yes.
You know, when you, if you're going to go to Florida and come back in the summer, this is the way to do it. You got the best of the summer right here, and you've got, you know, you down for your, the winter don't get too hot for you down there either.
No, not too bad. It's a little warm in the for the first few weeks when you go down, and possibly a week or two in the spring, but not bad. And with air conditioning, it's very comfortable.
When you lived on Pine Street, you had a neighbor called Kavanaugh, did you?
Frank Kavanaugh and Gloria were good neighbors of ours.
Yes, they were.
And Ed Quain and B. Quain on the other side of us, and the Henderson Penfield opposite us, and so on. Earl Christie, all of these people were very fine friends and neighbors.
Yep. We'll gradually go into the Presbyterian Church, and then we'll take a short break. But one of the persons I was going to ask you about, of course, he was also in your church, was Lyle Catlin.
Oh, yes.
And went to Florida, too, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Probably friends of yours. And
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, I knew Lyle very well.
I worked with Lyle when I was at Customs in Rouses Point.
Did you really?
Yes. Knew him very well, and I liked Lyle. Lyle was good to me. All right, so there came a time, well, let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. We're going to move into the Presbyterian Church, because this man did only work days, and all day long. He had weekends and he had evenings at the Presbyterian Church, very active.
Well, of course, one of the things that faced the company was the lack of facilities. We had to really start from scratch because it was principally a railroad center. When we came here, there were 5 railroads went in Rouses Point, and there was very good service. Then, of course, came the Northway with Jimmy Fitzpatrick's efforts and so on, got us the Northway up here. Well, then we had to have better electrical supply, water supply, sewage, schools, medical center, housing. All of these things we had to work on. And that was part of my job, is to get those so that when we recruited people from outside the area, that we'd have something to offer to them. So that was a big part of my work.
You were on the board at the medical center?
Oh, yes. I wrote over 200 letters in getting our first medical doctor to set it up.
Yeah.
And we had the assistance of the Sears Roebuck Foundation of Chicago, who supplied the plans and sent people out here to talk to us. And we had Clifford LaPlante was our chairman there at the time, and many people on the board, Frank Goodrich and
Belfords, I remember.
Yes, and Ray Walsh.
Who?
Jack Zerlo?
Jack Zerlo.
Zach Zerlo. They were all on the board there.
These are the people that you think of first when you come into Champlain Rouses Point. They're the people who were the bosses, and they were also human beings. Sometimes people don't think that the bosses are really human beings, but they are. To come to think about it, you can even remember now the name of that man at the bank, can't you? What was his name again?
Gig.
See that?
Gig.
Just takes a little bit of time.
Well, we had the consolidation of the schools, which was an important feature.
Yes.
And of course we had the St. Lawrence Power, which was a very valuable thing for us here. And the village was very cooperative. And Fred Oprah, who was the superintendent at that time, worked very closely with us and did many things for us. And we were able to overcome a lot of our problems and difficulties. And then with the association of the university with training of people. And of course we drew from a great cadre of people around the area here, wonderful people, wonderful employees. And many of them were more than employees, they became personal friends.
Yep. You know, as goes your manager of big companies like this, so goes your fire department, your emergency crews, because you let them have the time off. They don't get docked with their pay. They go to training schools, and these are all things you can give a lot of credit to your big companies, like a person like John Zerlo.
And I've been
and yourself, yes.
I've been more than pleased to see the development that's taking place here, both here and in Chazy, and with the help of Jim Fitzpatrick, who was chairman of the minor board at the time, I arranged to buy property over here in Chazy where we put up our animal health division.
So you do own the property. I often wondered about that. They own the property. Yes,
We bought the property from them, and they've now just this year doubled the capacity.
Yes, saw that. Yes. Well, now I guess we got to get to the things at hand. That's the Presbyterian Church. Have you been a member of the Presbyterian Church ever since you came to Rouses Point?
Oh yes. The first year or two, yes. Before I was married, I lived with Dr. Remiar. Possibly you remember him on the corner of Pearl Street and Lake. And I had an apartment with them for 4 years before I was married. Well, right next to us was the Episcopal Church at the time. So I used to drop over there on Sundays until I went to the Presbyterian Church about the time that I was married in 1940 and brought my wife here.
Uh-huh.
So I've been, and then transferred my membership from Moncton, New Brunswick to the Presbyterian Church here.
Now that's something I've mentioned a couple of times, and you see he transferred his membership because you actually sign a card, you're a member of the church, and when you move, you don't necessarily have to take your membership with you, but many times they do.
Oh yes, and you can request the transfer of membership from one church to another.
Yeah. I think Lyle Catlin, when he moved, left his membership here.
Oh, I think so.
I think he did because he was
good supporters.
Yes, they were.
Of the church, and then George Warner.
Yes,
was another
big one. Yes, yes. So
Ray Walsh. Well, he was an Episcopal, church, but he was a good friend, and he was on the board there at the medical center and so on.
You must have been an elder at the church. I would
yes.
Take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was an elder at the time that we interviewed Mr. Wu, Dr. Wu, and with Charlie Marnes, and Milo Marnes, and Jim Cummings, and myself, and we had him come and preach to us, and we liked him and his little wife at the time, Irene, who was a musical graduate from Boston, and who was very influential in establishing our Christmas cantatas and concerts and helping with the choir in this.
Yeah. Was your wife active at church like you were?
Yes, she was in the women's group and so on. And yes.
You're like the Methodists here. For such a small church, you're very active members, and you're seen a lot outside.
Well, the church needed a lot of attention and repairs, and that has been accomplished over the years, and with the help of Ellick Dan, who donated monies for our fellowship hall and the finishing of that, and many, many others, fine friends and members and non-members who helped us get the church in a good physical condition.
Is your fellowship hall what you call your basement, or off to the left?
The basement.
It's the basement.
Yeah.
What do you call that section just to the left of the church proper, where the door is open? That's also part of the church.
That's also part. You
can open it bigger.
Go both ways.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let's take another short break, and then we'll get into some of the things that we know about the church proper. Some of the memories that this man has right in his head. And thank you very much for tuning in to Hometown Cable. We're very happy to be with the Presbyterians this weekend. And we listened. Someone I mentioned earlier, and I guess it must have bothered Calvin a little bit when I said people that say, how come you're at the Catholic Church so often? He said he don't remember anybody else inviting him an awful lot, because he doesn't turn down invitations, and we're not neglecting anybody. It's just that there seem to be more things going on at the Catholic Church that we know about. So if there's something out there that you've got coming up special, give Calvin a call at 298-4663, home. And just tell him, you got to let him know he's not out looking for things to do. He's got plenty to do. We'll be right back. All I know about your church in Rouses Point, number one, I saw the sign, built 1891, fire in 1903, rebuilt in 1904.
Yes.
Was it completely burned? Do you know from your...
I really don't know
you
that.
Don't know.
No,
okay.
I really don't know that.
Right. Does someone keep a book with the records as far as what's happening and so forth?
Yes, I think there are session books and clerk records, but I'm not sure whether any of those were destroyed in the fire or not. I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
I think the Catherine Marnes might know that.
Okay. See, we have, in our church, we don't have good records, I'll tell you that. I couldn't even find out when our new pulpit went in and then when it was taken down. There's no record of that. For instance, the windows. I was told definitely to add, well, two things. The wood. The wood is beautiful.
It's beautiful. It was the same builder as the old Anchorage.
There we go. When we were talking at first, we thought we heard the name
Millard,
Allard,
I think
and it turned out to be Millard is what it was. Yes, and he built the Anchorage, correct?
And there's beautiful wood has gone into this building, and it's now in, I think, good physical condition. There was a time there where there was a low ebb there following the war and so on, when the church couldn't put money in for repairs and things of this kind, but that has improved, and with Reverend Woos, Dr. Woos' full attention to the congregation, it has grown and it is prospered, and I think we have a good unit there.
Now, I heard you gave a sermon on the windows. Tell us whatever you can, as much as you like, about the windows.
Well, I can't tell you too much offhand because they were on notes that I had of the various prophets and so on that are depicted in the windows. There's a beautiful window there with Christ holding a lamb right over the front entrance. And of course, over the choir loft is a window there with two letters on it, SS, and people asked me what that meant. Was it Sunday school? And it isn't. It's Spiritus Sanctus.
Oh, okay.
That's what that is, and that's where the Holy Spirit, we hope, comes down and are with us in our worship of our God. But the other windows are beautiful, and they've been given by various members of the church in the early days. And they are depicts various parts of the Old and New Testament. I can't tell you too much more without referring to notes on that, because I took a copious notes and did a little research on who they were and so on.
When your wife, you were younger, were you active in these election dinners and the?
Oh, my wife was, yes. I didn't do much.
You ate a lot. Did you go and eat?
I ate a lot. Sometimes I'd take the money at the door. But
well, that's work. Someone's got to do it, you know.
But we all tried to support them, and of course the Woos were. One of the things we want them to do is to take care of our young people, and he did that as much as he could. And they had dinners there that he and his wife, and they had Chinese dinners, and they had summer camps and so on. And one of his contributions to the community was the establishment of a prize at the high school. Each commencement, in which a young a Christian boy or girl from the community, they didn't have to be Presbyterian, but showed a good Christian bringing up and so on, would be awarded the prize from the church.
This is a little tougher question. Have you any idea what one of those windows is worth if you to replace it today?
No, I couldn't tell.
You're talking into the thousands, probably?
Oh, yes.
Huh?
Oh, yes.
For each window?
The windows are beautiful, and they would be very difficult to replace and be very expensive because they're made of fine glass.
Right. Have you done anything on the outside to protect those windows?
Oh, yes.
You covered with plastic?
Yes,
have done that?
Did. We went and had them appraised, see they're leaded. And some cases, through age and so on, some of the lead had fallen off and whatnot, and so we had them re-leaded. And we went up to the India Glass Company up here in Altoona, I think it was, or Altona, and had them come down, and they took measurements and then put on outside protection there, which acted as a storm window.
Is it a plastic or a glass?
I think I I'm not sure.
We have a plexiglass at our
it's
Catholic church.
It's a plexiglass.
Plexiglass, which
yes.
protects it and also gives it good for.
Oh, it's excellent. Yes, and it's protected the windows.
Yep, and it's good for our insulation too.
And then we had, of course, a lot of work to be done on the old tower. It had to be taken down, and the bell had to be replaced, and the roof, and there was a whole lot of things that had to be done there. The basement was only a dirt floor, and that had to be all taken out and cemented, and new furnace put in, and new equipment, new organs, and I can't begin to tell you the carpeting and all the rest of it that went into the church proper, and they are to be complimented today on the keeping it up in
Gorgeous,
good condition.
and very clean, very well kept.
It's very
You know,
well kept.
another person I think was very active in the church and made a big impression on me, and that was the funeral of Mr. Hoig.
Yes, Frank Hoig.
Frank Hoig.
And Jenny have been very loyal supporters of the church, along with the Marnes family and the Cronkrate family, and many more. Ella Davis, when she was living, worked hard on dinners here, and I couldn't start to tell the number of people that were involved, but they all were great workers.
When Frank passed away, they used the fire engine as the hearse. They had the body on the top of the fire department and all the firemen walked behind all the way from the funeral home to the church, and then they had the ladders, one from Keysville and one from Rouses Point, that made a great big arch, and their body was carried through there. Very, very impressive. I took a video. It's never been shown on TV. It was for the family and for the church, and it was very, very impressive. And I had to believe that he was very active in that church too.
Well, he was very active, and we miss him greatly. Yes.
Uh-huh. Well, Mr. Forbes, I don't know much else we could spread. We'll take a short break and see if we can think of something else, but basically we'll be right back. Thank you for watching Hometown Cable. Remember, we're on every Sunday with the program called What's Going On Here, every day, 12:30, 4:15, 8 p.m., midnight, and 8 o'clock the following morning. And I hit that table, you're going to hear it in your ear. Listen to that. Be right back. One of the questions that Calvin had yesterday, I guess I didn't ask, or Reverend Wu didn't know for sure. When you interviewed Reverend Wu, you were hiring him for Rouses Point, but also for Champlain and Perry's Mills.
Oh yes, that's correct. And
not Perry's Mills.
We should add that.
Okay.
That because the members of the Champlain session were also present and were agreeable to the hiring of Reverend Wu, because the manse, you see, is in Champlain.
Exactly.
And the church there was opened at the time when there were, but the membership is very few over there, and they haven't been holding regular services in the Champlain church for the last 2 years. Now I don't know whether that will change or not, but we're talking about amalgamation of the churches, and with the church here in Chazy, we've been talking about that, and because that is the trend today. Small businesses are joining together, hospitals or schools, everything is, you have to do it because of the costs.
One of the ladies was mentioning that more and more today, the people don't want to, the ministers don't want to live in a manse. They want to have their own home.
That's right.
That's
and
coming.
No longer, I think probably would try to, with the approval of the Champlain board, sell the manse. And we give a new pastor a housing allowance so that when he retires, that he has some equity on which to build a home or to have a place to live. That's what they want today.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's starting to rain on us here, so I think we'll just say this is a great time. It came true for you. We can say goodbye. And Mr. Franklin Forbes, like I said before, and I'll fade again, a fixture, a man that has done so much for Rouses Point. His company came here, Arist. Not only do they give jobs, but when there's something needed around the village, when something is required, and a lot of things they do, I think, behind the scenes that people don't know about. Companies like Harris, Sheridan, when they did an awful lot for our community. When something had to be fixed with the village in Champlain, it was done up at Harris, it was done at Sheridan, and the people all had good jobs. And one big thing, they gave this man another home away from home. right? You like Rouses Point.
Oh, yes, a very fine place to live.
We hope you have a nice winter, Mr. Farm. Thank you
Thank
very much for your time and your patience with us.
Thank you.
Pleasure. We'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. Hometown Cable.